and smell should subside by the end of the day. Coming up, we're not done with the rain just yet. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 101.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Is your financial advisor offering you up to a 30% upfront bonus? Are they promising you up to 10% growth per year guaranteed for your retirement income? If not, you need a new financial advisor. I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. If you plan to retire within the next 10 years, don't wait only to find out it's too late. I've seen hard-working folks like you retire only to be required to go back to work, all because their advisor told them guarantees like these were too good to be true. They're not. That's up to $30,000 up front or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't work when you're supposed to be retired. And if any financial advisor tells you it's too good to be true, they simply don't have the options we do. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company.
Between all the holiday parties,
weekend tailgates,
and family get-togethers,
we've been overindulging a little more than usual over the holidays. But now, we are starting the new year off on a healthier note by taking Active Liver supplements from New Nordic every day.
Active Liver contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, all natural ingredients that help protect the liver so that it can protect you from toxins. It's like giving my body a daily detox. I've never felt better, and my energy is through the roof.
And my doctor is already impressed with how much better my numbers are looking. So if better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief.
Active Liver is available in both tablets and as a delicious gummy. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or newnordicusa.com.
The biggest hunting show in the West is back, along with Utah's top 200 hunting permits for just $5 each application. It's the Western Hunting and Conservation Expo in Salt Lake City, February 13th to 16th. Visit with hundreds of guides, outfitters, and exhibitors. Book a hunt, see the latest gear, and best of all, you can apply to hunt Utah's biggest bucks and bulls for just $5 each. It's all at the Western Hunting and Conservation Expo, produced in cooperation with the Utah Office of Tourism. Get tickets and details at huntexpo.com.
The Salt Lake Chamber is Utah's voice for business. Okay, that sounds great, but what does it really mean? Well, as Utah's largest and longest-standing business association, they support and champion community prosperity throughout the state. And if you're in business, well, that's a very good thing for you. Be sure to listen to the Chamber's Speaking on Business, weekdays at 7:20, 11:55, and 5:20 p.m. on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Let's check in with Ricky Meese.
A small accident in Tooele County, northbound Main Street, SR 36, at Stansberry Park over to the shoulder. Wet roads in the valley, turning to snow in the higher elevations, and that snowfall is slowing speeds both directions of I-80 and Parley's Canyon, but especially on the eastbound side starting just after Lambs up to Summit Park. Lagoon is hiring full-time year-round ride maintenance technicians and electricians with journeyman or apprentice-level experience. Apply online at lagoonpark.com/jobs. Must be 18 years of age or older to apply. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're going to see some windy conditions this afternoon with valley rain and mountain snow continuing through your drive time. But by the evening, all of this should clear out. We're looking at a low of 29 tomorrow, partly cloudy, and a high in the mid-40s. Right now, we have light rain and 43 degrees. I'm Becky Bruce from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Welcome to Inside Sources. Republican leaders in the House are now racing against the Senate to make progress on the budget. This coming after the House GOP struggles to come to consensus on financial priorities. In the Senate, well, they're not wasting any time either. They're moving ahead. Welcome to Inside Sources. I'm your co-host, Rusty Cannon, here with Adam Gardner. We're beginning our show today in the nation's capital, where I returned from yesterday on a delayed flight, Adam. 2 hours late, but I finally got back.
You know what? Everything's late out of Washington.
Well, now it is because of the recent events, actually. We got delayed on the ground going to it because now the one runway that was the issue, the runway 33, that's closed, and so there's only one runway now. So they ground stop you in Salt Lake or wherever you're coming from to kind of get in the right spacing. So on the way out there, we sat here for an extra 40 minutes on the runway, and then 2 hours late coming in from Salt Lake last night, the flight. So first world problems, but it is an issue after what happened. Yeah. So just when you go back next time, plan on delays.
Yeah, okay, good to know.
So, I also learned another lesson. When you go to D.C., do not stay in a hotel next door to the hotel where the Israeli prime minister is staying. That hotel is surrounded by snowplow trucks. They park them around the block.
Yeah,
for
I remember
security.
when Obama stayed here at the Sheraton, I think.
Uh-huh.
And they had dump trucks and snowplows around the entire building.
Yeah, same thing. For security purposes, they had the barriers and fencing and everything. But the issue was then at about 8:30 p.m. at night, all the protesters show up and yell and scream. They had sirens, they had car horns, they had
right outside
noisemakers.
your.
I was literally, I was on the third floor looking right at them, and I thought, you got to be kidding me. So I Googled what the noise ordinance was in Washington, D.C., and it said 10 p.m. So I'm like, okay, at 10 p.m., I bet they quiet these guys down. And to the minute, 10 p.m., they were gone.
What?
Yeah,
really?
I don't know if the police pushed them out. I put in headphones and started working, so I missed out on exactly what they were doing. But about 10:05, I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I wonder if I got quiet. I pulled out my headphones, dead quiet. Everybody
that's
gone.
so interesting.
Yeah.
While you were there, did you get a chance? I mean, what's kind of the mood back there? You met with congressional, our congressional representatives.
Mm-hmm.
You met with different offices talking about different subjects, but mostly related to the budget.
Yeah.
What's kind of the mood about the budget right
now? There is a lot of activity. So we actually met with some members that were literally coming to and from meetings around the budget and tax reconciliation. There's a race going on. That's what we're talking about in this segment between the House and the Senate. The House wants to do one big, beautiful bill, and then the Senate's tracking towards two bills and getting things done a little bit quicker. And as you know, the House is kind of like herding cats. 400-plus members. Nobody agrees on even what time of day it is, and so that's the issue. They're racing.
Is that
with
why
each
they
other.
want to do one bill? Because you have to use and expend all of this political capital.
Yeah.
To do it twice on a very similar subject is really hard to do. You're going to have a lot of disagreement. So are they trying to just do it in one?
Yes, that's my understanding. However, the flip side also comes into play. If you put enough lard in a bill, you can die, as you know.
It's a turd in the punch bowl.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, I'm not voting for that. You have XYZ in there. But or is XYZ in there to get you to vote for it?
Uh-huh.
And just, all those members. And you have people that feel like they're left out in the cold. So as an example, Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee, he wasn't invited in some meetings that happened yesterday. Let's hear what he had to say.
They're not telling me what's in the dadgum bill. I'd kind of like to know about it if we have a 3-person majority and, we have a bad case of flu run through the Capitol and we're out of the majority.
So this is what they go through.
I love congressmen from the South, man.
Oh, yeah, it's just very plain spoken. So the meeting he's talking about, there was apparently a 4-hour meeting with the president and congressional leaders, and then another 2-hour meeting later at the Capitol on this with Speaker Mike Johnson and others. Let's hear what they had to say about that.
The way the president framed the meeting, he set the tone for us to push through some things that we were stuck on, quite frankly.
We've heard it was tense in the meeting.
It was what?
We've heard it was tense in the meeting. They were sticking.
I mean, look, we all care about getting this right.
What does that mean, though, Rusty? I mean, where we hear, the president, he set a tone for us to push through things we're stuck on. I don't know what that means.
Well,
are you able to push through things like if the debt ceiling is the big issue? President just told us to push through. What does that mean? Do you think there's any direction being given by the White House of this is what we want, do it, get it done?
I think so. So there was a meeting at the White House that apparently lasted up to 4 hours where the speaker was there and President Trump was there. Apparently he just came in and out, kind of giving direction. I can only imagine what that meeting would be like if he gets in and says, will you guys figure this out? and then he walks out and does something else. But they can't get along as far as there's the SALT deduction that's an issue. There's the debt ceiling that there's an issue.
Taxes on tips, that's part of it?
That's never going to end up in the bill.
Yeah.
I mean, in my mind. And he'll bring up those kinds of things. So that leads to a 4-hour meeting, which is followed by a 2-hour meeting. I think they're just still trying to get things figured out. So what they're trying to do is now work over the weekend, apparently, is what we're being told, all the way through the weekend, and maybe have a committee vote on a budget resolution by Tuesday. Now, when I was meeting with some staffers on Wednesday, they literally rolled their eyes at that. There's no way it's by Tuesday. Like they said fall when this thing finally gets figured out. So I don't know what the right story is as to how quickly they can get this done, because they can't even decide or agree on what is called the top line number, meaning where are we starting with the budget, right? Because that's what you have to start with. That's that blueprint, and then you work through everything after that. They can't even agree on that.
But the Senate's going a lot quicker. Are they? I mean,
well,
they
are
like
because they're only stripping out. They're only doing border and I think some energy stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And so that's
easier. I mean, Republicans all agree on border, defense, energy stuff.
Correct. Then you throw another fly in the ointment. March 14th. What is today? Today is February 7th. In 38 days or so, if my math is maybe a little off today, not very far away, you have another government shutdown timeline, meaning they've got to extend that CR that they had, that continuing resolution, just goes through March 14th. That's also at play. So you have all these different things coming into play to where I don't see how this happens as quickly as they
do
hope.
Those together? Are they going to put the CR or a budget resolution together? This is all going to be separate. They'll have to do the debt ceiling and the budget stuff later.
That's a good question. I thought they had to be separate. I don't know if those can be wrapped in, but this is again where I think your Freedom Caucus House members run square into the face of President Donald Trump, where they're going to say, wait, you want us to do what? And he's going to, anyway, I'm still waiting for that moment. I think it's coming.
Well, and it's interesting. So Speaker Mike Johnson, he told reporters on Friday morning that Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries seemed to be trying to set up some sort of a government shutdown. And Johnson said, we've been negotiating in good faith, trying to get a top-line number. But so far as I know, they've been unresponsive the past 2 days or so. Okay, I got to get your insight on this, because it seems to me that why on earth would the Democrats in the House want to negotiate on this at all? If the Republicans can't agree with themselves, what good does it do for Hakeem Jeffries to come in? And I don't agree with Hakeem Jeffries on anything, almost anything he does.
Yeah.
So, but if I'm him, I think this is the right strategy. Keep your soldiers in line, and then just let the Republicans just see if they implode. Because even if you come to an agreement with Johnson, if I'm Hakeem Jeffries and I'm sitting in a room with Johnson and we agree on something, there's no way that's not going to change.
Yeah. You make a great point. I don't see any motivation for Democrats to lift a finger on that. And I think that's wrong. That's not the right thing to do. But I'm saying strategically.
Politically, it works.
Politically, it's like, good luck, guys. Why would they extend any rope to try to, pull them out of the water? They would just sit there and watch them, flail in the water and try to, good luck. Go ahead. Try it. It'll be really interesting to see how this unfolds. This is not over, and it's changed day by day. We'll maybe have some more on Monday. All right, next on Inside Sources, what's been going on with TikTok? President Trump said he would save the social media app, but since it came back online at the inauguration, it's been pretty quiet. We're going to talk about some new developments next.
The newest part of your morning, and still so familiar.
When you wake up and listen to a radio show, it's like you're a part of a family. You're listening in on people you know, and it's magnificent that Andy Farnsworth is sitting in the chair because he's someone we know.
Utah's Morning News. Andy Farnsworth joins Amanda Dixon to bring you important news in the car. 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. I think by now most of you are used to the Management Minutes, but how about a Management Hour live? On February 13th, I'm launching my new book, Highly Reliable Teams When Failure is Not an Option. If you're interested in building better teams, please join us for an open house at the Utah State University Salt Lake campus in Taylorsville. We'll have a book signing and training for team leaders where we can learn together the 9 critical qualities of highly reliable teams. This is a free training for new and seasoned team leaders. Again, that's February 13th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Food, book giveaways, lots of learning. Experience an MBA class firsthand, absolutely free. Go to UtahStateMBA.com for more information. That's UtahStateMBA.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you there.
At Intermountain Children's Health, we've created a bold plan called Primary Promise to build the nation's model health system for children. Help us achieve this once-in-a-generation vision so together we can bring the world-class care of Primary Children's Hospital closer to home for every child in our communities. For more than a century, Primary Children's has kept the child first and always. Join us for the next 100 years. To learn more, visit primarypromise.org.
You know that feeling? The weather starts getting colder, so you go down to check out the furnace and you look around and think, what am I even looking at? Because you don't know how these things work with all the lights and wires and pipey things. And then you think, I bet those technicians at Whipple went to school for this. Shouldn't they be here looking at my furnace? Whipple that away. Knowing what to look for on your furnace tune-up is my job. Make your problem my problem. Whipple Service Champions.
Visit whipplethataway.com for our current special offers.
Jackson Hewitt makes taxes feel like a yacht rock song.
April breeze, give me my biggest tax refund, please. You, me, and a lifetime accuracy guarantee.
And now get $100 just to try Jackson Hewitt. Does your tax person do that?
Say goodbye to that no guarantee tax guy.
Ready to sail through tax season? Go to Jackson Hewitt and you'll be limited time offer for new clients. Participating locations only. Terms at jacksonhewitt.com.
When you're hiring, have you ever felt like you're missing out on meeting great candidates? Well, they're not hard to find when you go to ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day. People who are actively looking for jobs like yours. So it's easy to find the right person fast. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
You ever notice when someone takes a sip out of a water bottle and they find it to be really good? They always seem to look at the label. Folks just can't help themselves when they take a sip out of a little spring water bottle. Well, there's a reason it's called nature in a bottle. No chemicals, no additives. It's just pure, clean, healthy water from a family-owned and operated bottled water company. And that little spring is nestled in a beautiful canyon in Bear Lake, Utah. Now, just imagine the reaction from your customers if that bottle of pure goodness wore your logo, designed just right to make your name stand proud. In the advertising world, they call those unique impressions. Of course, when you drink Little Spring Water, you'll just call it impressive. Let Little Spring Water help hand your customers something they will remember. Just visit littlespringwater.com to get a quote. It's actually quite reasonable. littlespringwater.com.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
President Trump, even before the inauguration, promised to make it to where TikTok could survive and still be accessible in the United States. Following his assurances, TikTok came back online. And Rusty, this kind of drives me nuts. Like, following his assurances, he had no ability to do what he did and sign an executive order, but it hasn't been challenged at all.
Yeah.
Since then, however, it's been a little bit quiet on the future of the social media platform. Now we're getting a little bit more information. Vice President J.D. Vance and National Security Advisor Michael Waltz have been tasked with overseeing a potential sale of TikTok. The interesting thing to me is I likened this earlier in our conversations prepping for this show of this is like a Toyota dealership or any other business that is for sale, and then you get appointed to just oversee it, like from outside of the organization. Like TikTok's been for sale. The federal government forced the sale of TikTok. It was supposed to shut down the day before Inauguration Day. That did not happen. And Trump did not want it to happen. He wanted this Chinese company to live strongly, bigly. in the United States. And so he signed an executive order that gave them 90 more days. The federal law that was signed, passed by a Republican Congress, signed by a Democratic president, that law said that it would be okay, you could extend it for 90 days, but it had to be like in in sale mode, like it had to be for sale, and there had to be like a facilitating factor in the sale to make sure that it happened.
Yeah.
That was not the case. TikTok did not want to sell. The Supreme Court said this is a national security issue. This is not a freedom of speech issue. You have to sell. The government was right in forcing you to. That has not happened. If you remember, years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, President Trump signed a directive to close down TikTok. He wanted it shut down. Then on the campaign, he reversed his position right after there was a large donor, Jeff Yaas, Y-A-A-S, came in, donated something like $1 million to the campaign, and is he's a billionaire that owns a huge percentage of TikTok. Trump reversed his position and said, I don't think it's right, and hired a social media team to run TikTok. We've had his TikTok guy, I believe, on the show.
Yeah, well, we've mentioned him on the show.
He has Utah
ties. He calls him TikTok Jack.
TikTok Jack.
Yeah, he's in his
Utah,
20s. Yeah,
in his 20s. And then when President Trump became president and reporters started to ask him, well, why haven't you closed down TikTok? That was a big promise of your first term, and why haven't you done anything? And he said, well, that's because I used it, and I got all the young people to vote for me.
Yeah.
And so that was disconcerting because that's kind of what's in his head. It's not that it's a national security issue, which it is. So TikTok is an American company which is completely controlled by ByteDance, which is a Chinese company. TikTok, or a version thereof, exists in China, but none of the content that our kids view is legal or allowed on the ByteDance version in China.
Yeah, so what can they see in China?
So it's like mostly school stuff, helping you study. There's time limits. You can't use the app for more than X number. It's very totalitarian the way they do it. It's a communist dream.
Yeah.
But on our side, it's quite the opposite. They want to push content that harms American values. It makes and glorifies, it makes suicide, glorifies it for kids especially, contributes significantly to their depression. And our state and many other states have sued to get TikTok shut down, or at least like more age verification to where kids can't be using the app without their parents' permission. It's a huge problem. We talked earlier about bin Laden after 9/11 did this big manifesto that trended on the app. And once it was trending,
I remember that. Yeah.
It encourages content creators to follow the trends so they can monetize that.
Yeah.
And so as they push their algorithm, which by the way, they will not sell TikTok with the algorithm. They don't want that to be included in the sale.
Yeah, that's the special sauce.
And
right?
that is the special sauce.
Yeah.
They want to keep that hidden. They are willing to shut the entire company down, not make $50 billion. They want to avoid selling that algorithm. That's the key here. And so you had bin Laden's manifesto from kids from Omaha, Utah, Florida, you name it. They were getting on the app saying, you know what? I watched bin Laden's manifesto and I get it. I get why he did what he did.
So
these
irritating.
are 20-year-olds that weren't alive when 9/11 happened. And so it's a real problem. So I think it's great that J.D. Vance and a national security advisor, someone that looks through the lens of national security, is trying to help facilitate this sale, but it's all got to be done, Rusty, the right way.
Okay, so let me ask you this. I have actually seen, I'm trying to remember where I saw it. It was on TV, I think, an ad that came across for TikTok, done by TikTok, from business owners, small business owners saying, yeah, we, a bunch of our sales, we increase sales by using TikTok, telling the great story on the business side of why TikTok is vital to their business. What about that part? I mean,
it's legitimate.
Yeah, it's legitimate.
Yeah.
So can we bifurcate the two? But I guess if you're going to allow free reign, it's going to continue to have the harmful effects you were talking about that I think most would agree we need to either get rid of or stop or curtail because it's destroying our kids. But how do you juxtapose that with the businesses that now apparently depend on it? I personally, and this is going to make me sound really old, I've never looked at TikTok or downloaded it, or maybe I've seen a snippet, when someone retweets it
and they
or
get
something.
shared like on Instagram Reels and things. It'll be
so
that's
right. It has a little TikTok logo
filmed.
in it.
Yes.
Yeah, so I've seen them. I guess I've just never actually used the app, so I'm way out of my league here. But it seems like there's a lot of that business interest that's coming in now saying, hold on. In today's new economy, this is actually integral to the system. But it seems like we're being lulled away from what you're talking about, where it is harmful, and we got to do something about it.
Look, I think that's totally valid, and I think these business owners, they have a great case to make. And these content creators, this is what they do for their full-time job. Like, that's going to be hard when that goes away. So I get that. I understand that. And I think that's actually really tough. Where Congress and the national security community is seeing the real problem is, hey, business owner, the second you download that app, you are consenting, giving it permission for China to have every keystroke that you make on your phone.
Really?
They can see everything that you search and do. I question why China would ever need human spies because we so willingly give it to them.
Oh, this would show them anything they want to see.
Anything they want
Yeah.
to see.
Yeah.
They do the same thing with different types of computers. The state took a big, bold effort last year to ban certain companies from being able to sell.
Yeah, I remember that.
Up at the in state agencies and up at the legislature, because there were back doors built through these computers. China can see everything on these computers that the state buys. And so that's not security. If we're going to be serious about security, national security, we got to crack down on this. I'm not biased at all, by the way, Rusty.
This is good. It's good passion.
I've been preaching this for a long time, and I know our state has sued over this and what it's been doing to our kids. So I'm choosing to see the positive come out of this, that they can facilitate a sale. I don't care if it comes with the algorithm or not. I want China out of our business.
Okay, so would you be happy? So some of the proposals that are being floated, or I guess almost these are rumors, suggestions that Microsoft might be interested in buying. Obviously, you have Elon Musk out there. You have a billionaire, Frank McCourt, and his business partner, Kevin O'Leary, the Shark Tank guy, have been campaigning to take over TikTok, according to news reports. If someone like that or Microsoft were to buy it, would that take care of the China problem you're worried about? Or would we keep still the problem about what it does to our kids intact?
Microsoft worries me a little bit just because of their close ties to China. They have a big presence in China, and they open up a lot of their business to the CCP. So that kind of scares me. Kevin O'Leary, I just don't think he has enough money to do it. Maybe he can pull enough together. Elon Musk had to liquidate a ton of assets to buy Twitter. How could you do it? How could you spend $50 billion again? I don't know if that would be possible, because he's going to want to keep everything private to himself, which is very expensive. So if you could pull a couple groups together and form a company to do it, I say let's do it.
One news report says Frank McCourt was in D.C. this week walking on Capitol Hill. Maybe I walked by him, didn't even know it. I didn't know. Saw way too many people. By the way, the Capitol buildings or the House office buildings, Senate buildings, packed. There are tons of things going on in D.C. and it's an active place right now. Very, very busy.
I don't like when Congress is doing a ton. Maybe it's just me. But as long as right now things are completely changing, and the general mood and tone of the country is going a little bit different, and we're mixing things up quite a bit, it's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah.
When Inside Sources returns, Eye on the Hill 2025, our special coverage of Utah's legislative session begins after the break with a deeper look into a proposal to amend the Utah Constitution. That's coming up next.
Good afternoon. It's 1:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Chaleos. KSL's top local story. Utah lawmakers want to make it harder for judges to block state laws that they find unconstitutional. A bill to do that made it out of committee. KSL News Radio's Adam Small explains.
The way it works now is if someone sues claiming a state law is unconstitutional, a judge can enjoin or put that law on hold if they agree, and it stays that way unless the state Supreme Court decides otherwise. But under this bill, state attorneys would be able to appeal and require plaintiffs to present clear and convincing evidence why the law is unconstitutional, which is a higher standard than normal in civil cases. If they can't, the law goes into effect while the appeals process plays out and seeks to involve the state Supreme Court sooner.
KSL legal analyst Greg Skorda says he expects this proposal, if signed into law, will be challenged in court over its constitutionality. KSL's top national stories from ABC News. The head of the NTSB is on the way to Alaska as efforts continue to find a missing 10-seat passenger plane. The Cessna was on its way to Nome when it vanished off the radar. The Coast Guard and the National Guard are helping with the search. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow is down by 442 points. It sits at 44,304. S&P also down by nearly a full percent, down 59 points, and the NASDAQ down by 1.5%. The rain has started. We'll see how that's impacting your drive. Coming up next, KSL News Time, 1:31.
Right after the holidays, everyone needs a little cash, right?
Oh, yes.
We have great news for you. Right now, UCCU, Utah Community Credit Union, will pay you for your auto loan and credit balances. So all you have to do is just transfer your auto loan or your credit card balance to UCCU. And on top of giving you a low interest rate, which will save you money, UCCU will give you 1% cash back up to $250 on every loan you transfer.
Amanda, as soon as I heard about this, I said, I'm in this exact situation. I actually had to have 2 loans to get my car a year ago.
Yeah.
Long story. Got it consolidated into one, and they paid me 1% back for each thing. I've got 1 payment now instead of 2. It's so much easier, and it took me maybe basically an hour. I just went straight to the website. I applied. They said, you got to send me these documents. I did, and all of a sudden, within a couple of days, I had it all set.
This is how easy they are to work with, always looking for ways to help you and your family. You can find out more on the UCCU mobile banking app or just go to uccu.com/transfer. Utah Community Credit Union. You're going to love where you bank.
Take advantage of Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric's $99 or it's free mainline drain clearing special. That's right, $99 or it's free. Feel secure knowing the trusted professionals at Yes guarantee that if we can't clear it, you don't pay for it. Whether it's a small clog or a larger mainline sewer drain issue, the experienced technicians at Yes are ready to solve all of your drain problems. Call now or visit theyesmancan.com for details, terms, and conditions.
Don't miss the Dave's Bernina Super Weekend Sale at their Provo and St. George locations. Save up to $2,500 on Bernina long arm machines. The B500 and 700 models start as low as $1,999.
Come see the Bernina 990, the most amazing revolutionary sewing machine in the world.
All machines are on sale. Low 2.9 interest for 60 months.
Amazing bargains on trade-ins, classroom, and demo machines. Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo.
Joe Montana here. In my football days, I knew the importance of a strong defense. Now I'm sharing how you can help defend your health against pneumococcal pneumonia and invasive pneumococcal disease. Are you 50 or older like me? The CDC now recommends vaccination against pneumococcal disease. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at increased risk and over 6 times greater risk of hospitalization with pneumococcal pneumonia than adults under 50. Schedule your appointment today at vaxassist.com.
Sponsored by Pfizer. Tired of hearing scary radio ads about the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-583-6681. That's 800-583-6681.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. We do have an emergency traffic situation. Ricky, what's going on?
It's a crash with possible injuries involving multiple vehicles. This is northbound I-15 near the I-84 junction in Riverdale. Right now we have stop and go delays backing into Roy, and we do have a left lane blocked. We also have delays going northbound on Legacy Parkway. And this is going to be as you go from Centerville towards Farmington, plus snow coming down and causing delays both directions of I-80 between Lambs Canyon and Parley Summit. Ballet West Cinderella live with the Ballet West Orchestra. Buy tickets today at balletwest.org. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
70% chance of showers across the Wasatch Front today. That chance decreasing to 10% tomorrow, but the temperature dropping big time. Tomorrow's high only 43 degrees. Right now, 43 degrees, raining in downtown Salt Lake City. I'm Maria Chaleos from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm Rusty Cannon here with Adam Gardner. Did you know in 1900 the Utah Constitution was amended to allow for ballot initiatives? I think that might be a typo. I thought it was 1990. Maybe it's 1900. Since then, 7 have passed, but of those 7, 2 have received 60% of the vote, enough to be a bit of a supermajority. Now, one state lawmaker hopes to make that a rule for any ballot initiative that results in higher taxes must receive 60% of the vote in order to pass. This is Senator Lincoln Fillmore's proposal, SJR2, Senate Joint Resolution 2, that is now moved out of the Senate with the 2/3 majority and over to the House. So, Adam, I wanted to make one thing clear. You were passionate about our last subject. I am very passionate about this one. It's a little bit nerdy, but let me tell you why. So, as you know, well, first of all, in the debate on this bill, and I've watched the debate in committee and on the floor, many opponents of this type of measure talk about the voice of the voters, how important the voice of the voters is. Let's not take away their voice. The voters are, sacrosanct, as they should be, in having their voice heard. If this joint resolution passes, it has to pass by 2/3 of each body, not just a majority, 2/3 in this case. All it does is forward this question to the voters, those very voters that are so special, as opponents will say. They will decide if this becomes policy. If this bill passes, it does not become policy. If the bill passes, this will go on the ballot in 2026, and voters will decide, hey, going forward, do we want our Constitution in Utah to say any ballot initiative that raises taxes or creates a new tax must pass with 60% to become legitimate? So it's fairly straightforward and simple, and I don't think there's anything wrong with asking that any policy that increases taxes receive more, enough support to garner 60%. So, Adam, as you might know, we vote on bonds all the time across the state.
Explain what a bond is.
So, it's a general obligation bond that then, to pay for those bonds, it goes on your property tax, a new levy, a new line item on your property tax to pay for. It's usually a school bond, new high school. They're getting quite expensive. You have to pay for that in your taxes, and you vote on those typically all the time. Those very often pass with more than 60%. I could go through examples in the last.
Well, we have
this
in Salt Lake County. We have a ZAP tax.
Yeah,
that's a bond,
mm-hmm.
And that passes with usually like 75-76% every year.
Yes, they very often pass with more. So here's my point that why I get so fired up is people that are opposed to this legislation. They keep saying, "Hey, you're taking away the voice of the voters," and all of that. It does not. This forwards to those very voters for them to decide whether 60% should be the hurdle. So they either don't understand that, or they're twisting this around, and I think having just an improper argument about it. But if the policy itself, I've seen polling on the policy itself, if this gets on the ballot, it's going to pass. I wouldn't be surprised if this passes with 80-20.
Oh, really?
Yeah, or 70-30.
That's the fact that they added the raised taxes piece of this is what I think is going to get people to vote for this.
Yeah, it'll pass. This will absolutely pass.
And here's, just for a little context here, if you remember in 2018, there was a ballot initiative on Medicaid expansion.
Yes.
It had gone through the legislature had considered Medicaid expansion and rejected it every single time. I remember the House didn't even vote on it. They're like, this isn't even worth, we're not doing this. And the reason is because it becomes a real budget, I call it a budget creep.
Mm-hmm.
And it may start out small, but pretty soon it will consume a large amount of your budget. But this was going to start out, this initiative, the people that ran this initiative did not have to say how much it cost, did not have to say where the funding was coming from. They didn't have to say anything, just that we wanted this.
Yeah.
So it passes, and then it goes to the legislature, because one of these initiatives, it's a bill. It's that's all it is. So legislature deals with bills and legislation, so they could change it. And they were like, if we leave this as is, as it was written, it is 20% of our budget.
Mm-hmm.
And in the next 5-10 years, it will be 42% of our budget. We will go broke as a state if this passes. So they significantly modified it and put in, all of these. If this happens, then we'll take it from here, and they actually had to study it because they have to balance the budget.
Yeah.
Those that run initiatives do not.
No.
And so what I think is impressive on this one is it's finally saying, like, if you're talking about raising taxes at all, it forces the petitioners to do a little bit more work and have a little bit better dealing in good faith as they run these initiatives.
Yeah, you're exactly right. As you know, up at the legislature, bills oftentimes go through what we call substitutes, meaning a different version, sometimes 6, 7, 8 different substitutes on a bill, especially that's consequential or complicated, where all these unintended consequences, the funding, the back and forth and all of that is ironed out in all these substitutes. A ballot initiative is written by 2 people at a kitchen table and submitted, and you vote it up or down. That's it. And that's why, in the case of raising taxes, it is completely fair to say, hey, we don't think it's fair. Let's say there's 1 million voters. We don't think it's fair that 500,001 voters can raise the taxes of the other 499,999. You just have to get 600,000, in this case, in that pool to agree. And if you do a good job explaining it and it's a good policy, as a lot of these bonds have shown, you'll get the 60%. But then you also bring up another issue. An interesting thing that I think people forget about, that Medicaid expansion bill in 2018 was not a homegrown project. It was paid for. It was paid for by the Fairness Project. They're in Washington, D.C. They are a 501c4. On their website, they talk about, quote, we've won 32 ballot measures to raise the minimum wage, expand Medicaid, protect abortion rights, secure more paid time off, and other life-changing policies, and we're just getting started. They paid over $1.1 million of the funding of signature gathering and advertising for that Medicaid effort, virtually all of the funding. It was more than 80% of the funding came from that one group. This was not a homegrown effort. And that's typical for these. And that's why a 60% threshold makes it fair in saying, okay, you need to make your case like you talk about to where everybody agrees, yeah, this is good. And you can easily hit that 60% threshold.
And I think it's worth noting that this vote wasn't particularly close in the Senate. We have 6 Democratic senators. And they all voted no. And I totally get why if I were a Democrat in the Senate, I 100% would vote no, because that's how a lot of policy is passed by Democratic groups is through ballot initiatives. So I totally get that. And that's how I would have voted as well. And only 2 Republicans out of the 23 in the Senate voted against. So 21 yes votes out of 29. That's pretty significant in the Senate. And from what I understand, I know you've kind of been involved in this. You're not now, but in the past you have been, and it's never been able to get out of the Senate.
Yeah, it was always hung up in the Senate, a lot of times for various different reasons, but it passed the House easily last time with 2/3. I don't see this not passing with 2/3 quite easily in the House, and look forward to this being on the ballot when it comes. I think it is getting caught up in the conversation with ballot initiatives in general. And I think that's where some of the confusion comes from, of making it more difficult and all. But again, want to reiterate what we said early on in the segment. If this resolution passes, and it's got to pass by 2/3 in both bodies and be signed by the governor, it only forwards the question to voters for them to decide. So it will not set it in stone.
This doesn't become a law.
No, it does not. It is only putting it on the ballot for the voters, again, the voters, to decide whether we want to have that 60%. Based on the polling that I've seen, this is absolutely going to pass by voters if it makes it to the ballot. I'm hoping it does. All right, next on Inside Sources, let's stick to Capitol Hill on Utah and discuss a bill that would create criminal offenses for those people who remove or destroy political signs. You're going to want to hear this. Stay with us.
It's the Advanced Window Products President's Day sale. If the cold is seeping in through your old windows, Advanced Window Products will install state-of-the-art double-pane windows with insulated frames. Your home will take on an exciting new look, and you're going to save on your heating bill. And not for nothing, your air conditioning in summer, and right now at the President's Day sale, you save $2,500 off 10 windows or more. For 38 years, Advanced Windows has been building beautiful custom windows and frames right here in Utah. There's no middleman, so you save. So keep out the cold, cut down your energy bills, and save $2,500 with one call to Advanced Window Products. 801-850-9100. An expert comes out for a no-pressure consultation. They'll tell you about the payment plans, including no payments for 24 months. The Advanced Window Products President's Day sale. Get $2,500 off. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. Or just go to advancedwindows.com.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. We have several hot spots and the weather is definitely taking a toll. Our first emergency traffic situation is northbound I-15, a multiple vehicle crash with possible injuries in Riverdale near the I-84 junction, blocking a left lane, backing traffic into Clearfield. Then northbound on Legacy Parkway, construction is taking up a right lane of traffic going northbound through Centerville, also causing delays. Then we have stop traffic in Big Cottonwood Canyon, SR 190. This is as you're approaching the S-curves, and it's as emergency crews are having a tough time getting around these backups to make their way to a rollover crash. The canyon is experiencing not only stop traffic due to the crash, but also snowfall that's pretty heavy at times. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at kslnewsradio.com/contests.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them, the right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Febreze. It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Discover the thrill of winter adventure with Bear Lake Ski Shoring the Bear. Join us for an unforgettable experience on February 21st and 22nd. Whether you're a participant or a spectator, there's excitement for everyone. Spectators get in free, so bring your friends and family to cheer on the competitors. The action kicks off with the first round of races Friday, leading up to the exhilarating final round on Saturday. The top 10 competitors will return to battle it out for the ultimate glory. With no pre-registration needed, simply show up and sign a waiver to join the fun. Compete for a chance to win buckles, cash, and prizes in various divisions. Feel the rush, embrace the challenge, and be part of this unique winter spectacle. Don't miss out on this exciting event. Sign up for Ski Shoring and experience the thrill of racing through the snow. For more information, visit bearlake.org. See you at Ski Shoring the Bear.
Camping season is right around the corner, and Motorsportsland is throwing a huge RV party in the KZ RV Mega Tent. Come and check out hundreds of the newest RVs, RV accessories, and enjoy exciting activities including kids' movie nights, RV seminars, on-site radio events, yard games, live bands, food trucks, and did we mention over $30,000 in giveaways? Event sponsors include KZ RV, Owned by Cummins, Suburban RV Appliances, Lion Energy, Lippert, Utah Big Game Outfitters, Equalizer, and many more. Free admission, free seminars, and free activities. No need to wait for a show. Buy your RV at Motorsportsland this week in confidence with our best price guarantee for 2 weeks after your purchase. Check out motorsportsland.com for event schedule and guarantee details. Adventure awaits at Motorsportsland's Mega Tent RV event.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
301 South State.
Any Hour Services can help you make sure your furnace keeps you warm this winter. Whether you need a tune-up, a repair, or a second opinion about replacing it, call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Eye on the Hill 2025. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
Our special coverage of Utah's legislative session continues this segment with a look at political advertisements. Specifically, the bill we want to talk about is HB 292. It addresses the situations when people remove, damage, or destroy political signs. The bill's sponsor, State Representative Jordan Tusher, joins us to talk more about it. And I got to say, Representative Tusher, now that the collective bargaining bill is done and over and headed to the governor's desk, do you have anything left to do this session?
He's bored.
I was thinking about packing up and calling it a session, but
you've already had like your big fights.
Yeah, I know. I've got a number of great pieces of legislation like HB 292, so I'm excited to move on past unions and get some other great work done.
Okay, so tell us about HB 292. It deals with political signs. Tell us what the bill does and what the motivation for it is.
Yeah, so really this is a pretty simple bill. It deals with when you're going to be putting political signs up, you can't put something on someone's sign or attach it to their sign that then changes the nature of the sign itself. So imagine you had a political sign out there that said, Rusty Cannon across the front of it. Under current code, someone might be able to put a sticker on top of it that says, vote out Rusty Cannon.
I thought you were going to go somewhere else with that. Yeah. I had a bunch of things in my head of what I was going to, I could do to
let it go. I've heard them all. I'm 52
all right,
years
I'm
old
kidding.
now.
I'm kidding.
Yes. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, and we're seeing that in this last election cycle. We're seeing people starting to be a little more creative like that. And when you go to say, well, does that deface a sign or not? It's really a sticky question. And so we want to clarify that in the code, that type of action or remedying it by taking off the sticker is allowed.
Okay, so what happens if somebody does do this? If there's a Jordan Tusher sign and I put on there, vote him out, or he smells, or something like that on there, what's the penalty?
So just like any other penalties around signage, it's a Class B misdemeanor.
Okay.
What is a Class
B
misdemeanor?
I think what's more important...
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
you guys need to stop talking over each other.
Yeah, a Class B misdemeanor, is we have Class A, Class B, Class C. Class B is up to 180 days in jail and a large fine, but typically you wouldn't see anything like that. In fact, when I went to any of the cities pointing out these types of issues that were going on, generally their approach is, hey, we don't want to get involved in any of the sign wars. We're not going to do anything. So one of the great remedies we have in the bill now is we can say, hey, any member of the public can go and remedy that, because we know we're not going to put that on the city or the police to enforce that. If you see something where someone is violating that provision, you can go and remedy it yourself.
Okay, I got to ask you, why would you start this year? You've been in the legislature for a little while. Is there anything in particular that happened that made you say, okay, I think it's time to do this bill? Is there any one thing, or just the concept?
Yeah, no, I mean, I saw it this last election cycle, and that's the first time I'd ever, I took pictures of this to people and sent it around, and people were saying, I've never seen anything like this, where they would attach something to someone else's sign. But, people get creative, and the code didn't really cover that area, and so we're just cleaning it up to make sure that what I think everyone thinks is very reasonable is outlined in the code.
Okay, so this bill apparently also deals with locations where signs can put, and I'm worried that I'm going to get in a lot of trouble if, like in the past, there's a couple of key spots in my town where I live where I'm like, I want to get so-and-so's signs up really quick right here in this spot. There's some popular fence spots, kind of overpasses or canals or things like that where it's just perfect, and they end up getting just plastered with signs, and so you got to get there early. What kind of restrictions would this bill put on where you can put a sign?
So the only additional restrictions we add in the bill is that you can't add political signs to like a utility pole, a light pole, a road sign pole, or an electric utility box. And almost all cities across the state have that provision already. But a lot of candidates aren't looking at, it's a little harder to read the municipal code. And so we thought it'd be good to just codify that in the state code so that people know it's It's more just a matter of making sure everyone knows what the rules of the road are.
Okay, so would this allow me to remove somebody else's sign that's on a utility pole or a light pole if I'm just Joe Citizen and I saw a Rusty Cannon sign on a light pole? Could I go take that down?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
That's the remedy now, because again, the cities are really reticent to do anything about it. They don't want to get any sort of claims that they're being unfair to one campaign and not another one. Maybe they take down one sign and they didn't see the opponent have a sign also on a light pole, right? And so we want to be fair, but we also want our neighborhoods to be beautiful, or you know, in a lot of cases, there's a safety issue if it's on a pole where people can't see. And so there's reasons why we don't want those signs on poles, and there's plenty of other places to put them. This allows an average Joe citizen to go and fix it without being afraid that they're going to commit a Class B misdemeanor.
So another thing that I see happen, maybe you can't fix this with any bill, or if maybe it's not addressed in this one, what about when somebody comes and puts a sign right in front of the one that you put up? Is there anything that is going to be done about, or am I overthinking things? But I've seen this happen where, you know, you put a couple of signs up for your favorite candidate, and an hour and a half later, somebody comes and puts the opponent right in front of it.
Yeah, that's a really great question. And I wanted to address this in this bill. In fact, if you see the original version of the bill, it does address that and say that that's not allowed. Unfortunately, as I've been working with the cities and UDOT on this issue, their concern is that if we regulate that we might get into a First Amendment space, and they'd rather just avoid that altogether. And they would say, well, the remedy, if someone puts their sign right in front of yours, is to take out your sign and then put it in front of theirs. You know what I mean? Which doesn't, you know, it's just kind of that tit for tat, but is one of those areas that's just tough to regulate.
This is a hard space no matter what. I remember there was a Salt Lake County Commission race years ago in the 90s where the Republican had put up their sign, and then the Democrats came right after, put a huge one right in front of it, and then sat in a minivan all day and waited for that person the commission candidate to drive home, got out of his car and moved the Democrat sign, and they took a picture of it and used that all over the place. So if you get into this tit for tat stuff, that's going to be a real problem. We only have about 20 seconds left. Anything else you want to add? Anything else that your constituents, voters out there need to know about this bill?
Well, I think as I talked with voters in my area about these issues, they saw the problem, right? And that's what we're trying to solve here. We want to make sure that everyone knows what the rules are, and that we're being fair, that we can get the advertisements out to those that need to see it.
And this will be in committee today, or when would this get heard next?
Yep, this afternoon at 4 o'clock.
Okay, and you can actually go onto le.utah.gov and type in the bill number, HB 292, and you can actually go on and watch this committee hearing, which is awesome. So coming up in the second hour of Inside Sources, we're going to take a deeper look at Elon Musk's Doge and how it became kind of the new boogeyman for Democrats in Trump's second term. Stay with us.
How does a soccer club born in an unlikely place,
Utah? You sure you want to do that in Utah?
built with players no one else wanted,
We knew no one believed in us.
reach the league's highest heights?
We finally did it. It was like just this feeling of getting to the top of the mountain.
How does that same team find a way to shatter expectations in the midst of a fight for its own survival?
Our club is burning to the ground as we speak.
I'm Amy Donaldson, and in a new podcast, Making of a Moment, the RSL story, we take a closer look at one of those iconic sports moments
Soccer is a crazy game, and we saw it firsthand tonight.
and unravel how knowing the truth of these moments can transform what they mean.
I just kind of got chills right now thinking about it.
Making of a Moment, the RSL story, is available now. Follow us at makingamomentpod.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 2 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Maria Chaleos. KSL's top local story. We now know the victim of a deadly crash that shut down northbound I-15 near the point of the mountain yesterday. It was a former BYU basketball star. Jake Schoaf played at BYU from 2001 to 2004, reaching the NCAA tournament twice with the team. Tributes are pouring in on social media. He was 46 years old. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. 10 people are missing after the airplane heading to Alaska disappeared from the radar.
Alaska Senator Dan Sullivan says NTSB Chair Jennifer Homendy will be heading to Alaska this weekend to help organize investigators and coordinate the NTSB response. The whereabouts of the Cessna Caravan are unknown. It disappeared in an area of western Alaska where the ground is mainly broken sea ice right now and rugged terrain. The U.S. Coast Guard is canvassing the area, as is a National Guard Black Hawk helicopter, and there is no sign anything has been found.
Stocks ending down for the day. The Dow down 444 points, almost a full percent, ending at 44,303. S&P also down by nearly a full percent. The NASDAQ down by 1.25%. Rain here in the valley, snow in the mountains. We'll check your drive coming up next. KSL News Time, 2:01.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Bombas makes the most comfortable socks, underwear, and T-shirts.
Warning, Bombas are so absurdly comfortable you may throw out all your other clothes.
Sorry, do we legally have to say that?
No, this is just how I talk, and I really love my Bombas.
They do feel that good. And they do good, too. One item purchased equals one item donated.
To feel good and do good, go to bombas.com/radio and use code radio for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/radio and use code radio at checkout.
Advance your career at the USU Salt Lake Center Leadership Luncheon on February 13th. Accelerate your future, network with others, and gain critical leadership insights provided by the esteemed Utah State Executive MBA faculty and others. Guest speaker Scott Hammond, a professor at the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University, and an award-winning author and teacher, will inspire you and share how to build a culture of high reliability and lower stress. You've heard him on KSL News Radio. Now come meet him in person for an engaging discussion and quality learning experience. This event is free and includes a delicious lunch from Cafe Rio. Don't miss this opportunity to gain new business leadership skills to advance within your company, make a career change, start a new business, or achieve a life goal. Advance your career at the USU Salt Lake Center, 920 West Lavoie Drive in Taylorsville, February 13th at 11:30 a.m. Get info on the events calendar at utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. Brought to you by the Utah State Executive and Online MBA.
Xfinity here. How can we help?
Hi. My daughter invited her entire class to her birthday party. Can my Wi-Fi handle it?
Oh, well, at Xfinity, our latest gateways have tri-band Wi-Fi technology, letting you connect hundreds of devices at once.
No way. So if all the kids are watching stuff on their phones, well, their parents are sharing videos online.
Yep. Go ahead and watch videos. They can all do their thing and party their way. No problem.
Oh, we are gonna need a bigger cake.
Now through March 4th, get fast, reliable Xfinity Gig Internet for $25 a month for 1 year with no annual contract and Wi-Fi equipment included when you add an unlimited mobile line. And ask how to get an eligible free 5G phone with trade-in. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Requires pre-post bill and auto-pay with stored bank account. Taxes and fees extra. After promo, regular rates apply. Xfinity Internet required. Reduced mobile speeds after use of monthly data included with your data option. Data thresholds and actual internet speeds vary.
You bought a house, or maybe you're building one, but it just isn't feeling like home. Not yet. AMC Building Materials has this undeniable knack for transforming a house into a home, your home. How do they do that? They combine years of exceptional kitchen and bath creations with your ideas. In fact, customer satisfaction is their #1 priority. You know what you want. You know it's not going to be cookie cutter, and this is exactly where AMC shines.
AMC delivers exceptional quality, bold-style kitchen and bath designs, along with their exceptional value and a timeline you'll love. Most projects are complete by the elite AMC professional installers in under 10 days. Immerse yourself in the beauty, function, and feel in person at the AMC Building Materials Showroom in Salt Lake City. Get directions and schedule your free estimate at amckitchenslc.org. AMC Building Materials, transforming your house into a home. amckitchenslc.org.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Emergency traffic gets brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Let's get the latest with Ricky Meese.
We are starting to see traffic move a little bit better around this accident northbound I-15 in Riverdale near the I-84 junction that had been blocking a left lane of traffic. But the delays have stacked back up to Clearfield, and it looks like traffic also starting to move on Legacy, where it was becoming a parking lot going northbound through Centerville with construction blocking a right lane. And our other situation is Big Cottonwood Canyon. A rollover crash has closed the eastbound side of SR 190 in Big Cottonwood, about 4 miles from the mouth of the canyon. Whipple Service Champions, your cooling, heating, plumbing, drains, and electrical specialists. Whipple that away. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Showers tapering off this evening. Only a 10% chance for your Saturday, but 70% for the rest of today. Tomorrow's high, though, only 43 degrees, 41 on Sunday, then down into the 30s for next week. 43 degrees. It's raining in downtown Salt Lake City. I'm Maria Chaleos from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources. A new presidency, new state leaders, and a new legislative session. Utah's top political experts discuss the day's biggest stories. Only on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm your co-host, Rusty Cannon, here with Adam Gardner. Adam, this segment we're going to talk about a very popular, I don't want to say product, department in news cycles lately, DOGE. D-O-G-E. It's still making waves as people get deeper and deeper into the inner workings of Washington and the federal government. We've already talked about some of the concerns that folks, mainly Democrats, have raised, but now the lawsuits are starting to fly, worries about sensitive information. This has become a very popular subject. In fact, Utah's own Congressman Blake Moore, who co-chairs the DOGE committee, spoke to Fox News earlier today. Let's hear what he had to say.
This is a process we have to go through. It's painful. Any company that has to do it, it's painful, and it creates some angst. But it's something we have to do, and I want to do it in a very responsible way.
So, in addition, he talked about the process that they're working through.
That's the whole process right now, is ciphering out what's unnecessary, what's wasteful, and what's core. And I think we'll come to a good resolution on it.
And then last of all, he talked about how the House is preparing for Musk and DOGE to come in.
On the House side, we're working on a little initiative for the next few months to sort of help prioritize for Elon Musk and his team. You know, what are the areas that are like the quick wins? What are the more sustainable long-term goals?
So, Adam, I was actually at a town hall for him last week. Actually, we spoke about this on the air a few days ago. He spoke heavily about this in a lot of detail, where he is, and I didn't realize this till I went to the meeting, that there's a House DOGE group, I guess you'd call it a caucus or committee.
Yeah, it's caucus.
Yeah, caucus, in addition to the DOGE of Elon Musk, and then there is also a Senate DOGE group. So there are a lot of different teams working on this.
It's probably the lowest hanging fruit, where if congressional leaders, especially those on the Budget Committee or Ways and Means, they can find wasteful programs pretty easy, programs that they've hated for a long time. Yeah. And if they're set up to help Elon Musk and the Trump administration, it's pretty easy for them to just feed stuff to Elon and his team and say, hey, we got this issue with the Department of Education, just run wild.
Yeah, so a lot of the news lately, today they've been talking a lot about access to Treasury Department payment systems, and we'll talk about that, sort of the access levels. One thing that to be honest, I personally enjoyed watching this last week unfold. I love what they are doing at USAID. I think there is so much waste. We talked about this on the air a few days ago as well.
of how that just needs sunlight into there. As news reports today in USAID, they are going to reduce that department from approximately 10,000 employees globally to 294.
When you told me that there were 10,000 employees,
Yeah, can you believe
I
that?
could not believe it.
What do 10,000 people do? But I guess you need that many when you're handing out $40 billion a year. But they're going to, according to Reuters, keep only 294 staff, which I think is just music to my ears. It does not take 10,000 people to hand out those grants. As they go through, they're essentially shutting this place down temporarily and then moving it forward on apparently a 294 person basis.
Well, and you got to remember too, an executive. This was all sanctioned by Congress. So Congress created USAID, and an executive employee can't just get rid of it on his own.
No.
And so instead of having it be its own kind of independent thing, they're actually moving it into the State Department. And so Marco Rubio would now kind of be the de facto head of USAID. It would just be under the State Department, which if they're giving out foreign aid,
that makes total sense.
That be where it is?
Yeah.
It should be the Secretary of State directing where all that funding happens. And so it just kind of makes sense to me. They're not getting rid of it, but I mean, they're cutting it bare bones. It's like the Consumer Protection, the CFPB or whatever that stands for. It was the same thing under the Trump administration last time. They hated it, but they couldn't get rid of it.
Yeah.
So they just fired everybody and said, we'll pay the director of it $1 a year or something like that. And so you kind of do this de facto, like it just kind of shuts down on its own.
Yeah, in fact, we tried to get audio. We couldn't quite get it ready in time, but that Marco Rubio spoke very eloquently about this a few days ago, where he's now over this. But he spoke to, and I'd encourage people to look at it. It's on YouTube, him talking about USAID, an interview, I believe, with Fox News, if I remember right, where he talked about his 14 years in the Senate, how antagonistic the department was, even towards U.S. senators, where they would go and ask for information. They would be flat out told, no, we don't work for you, type of attitude, to where they have just run essentially on their own and need to be reined in. And that's where that sunshine process comes in. The reporter pushed back and said, well, what about all these critical programs? And he had a great answer. He's like, listen, we're granting waivers day by day. We've already granted waivers on X, Y, and Z, meaning if they come forward and say, hold on, this program is worthwhile or this is badly needed, great. We go through the process, we grant a waiver, you're still good. It's just all of that extra baggage that just where we're parachuting hundreds of millions of dollars into countries, completely losing track of whatever it does and where it goes. And just is just gone absolutely, bananas. And it's just good to see him unwind it.
Well, I read Walter Isaacson's biography of Elon Musk. It was a phenomenal read. I actually kind of have the same opinion on him that I did before, but it was really good, really well written. And this is just his method of doing business. So when he had Tesla or SpaceX, he would say for a certain part of the rocket, for the motor, he would say, strip everything down, cut this, cut this, cut this, cut this. And they would always ask him why. And he goes, I don't know. It seems useless. Cut it, cut it. And then he would say, if you're not adding 10 to 20% of what you cut back, then you didn't cut enough. So his philosophy is cut everything past it hurting and to where it's a lot of pain, and then you can add back later. So this is kind of what he's doing, that same thing on the federal level. The interesting thing is it's so unclear about his team of developers, his 20-year-old developers. Are they government employee? Are they government employees? Are they paid by Elon? So there's this fine line that's been happening where when they went into the Treasury Department and they're bringing in these 22-year-old programmers who are brilliant guys, Elon thinks they're brilliant guys, come in and let's audit the Treasury Department, and they're getting access to all of this private information. So they're getting access to your tax data, your birth date, your social security number. So they're having access to all of this. And they were sued by the Treasury Union, and the Department of Justice came in, Trump's Department of Justice came in, and they've agreed to temporarily restrict staffers associated with Elon Musk's Department of Government Efficiency from accessing information in the Treasury Department's payment system.
Well, that makes sense. Right?
It makes sense, but we also are very just unclear about who they are.
Yeah. Well, and I think this is a symptom as well of the speed of which the Trump administration is moving. It is absolutely just fun to watch. At any given moment, not only is something new being proposed, but anytime Trump is now signing a bill, he's talking to reporters. If he's, there's so much information coming out, and they're moving so fast that it's hard to remember that. How many days has it been since the inauguration? What is it, February 7th?
It's been 7 years.
It feels like 7 years. But it was literally, I'm looking at the calendar, what was it, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I mean, 3 weeks, and we have all that's happened. And I think this is just sort of a symptom of the breakneck pace of which they're running at, which I think is phenomenal. Go for it. For those that are getting so mad, I think it's quite revealing to just kind of see how dependent systems or organizations have become on the way things are, the status quo, and we then, have that coming around to bite them in some cases. All right, coming up on Inside Sources, we're going to continue to talk about Musk. He's become a new kind of boogeyman among Democrats, and we're going to chat about that after this.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Nia.
Hi, Nia. It's Jennifer. Did you know that Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, I work here.
Okay. I was just double checking. Get it?
Because Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Oh, you get me, Nia.
You could say that I double get you.
I guess we've taken it too far.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time. The next time you're out to dinner with friends, you can order the shrimp cocktail for the table. And maybe you'll realize it only comes with 4 shrimp after you've already given away 3, but that one shrimp will be so good. And if you switch and save hundreds, you could get shrimp all the time. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time. For shrimp. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. An update of the travel on northbound I-15 into Weber County. The earlier crash that we had in Riverdale by the I-84 junction has been cleared. All lanes are open. We're still seeing residual delays back to Hill Air Force Base. Our other hot spot is a rollover crash in Big Cottonwood Canyon that has closed the eastbound side of SR 190 about 4 miles from the mouth of the canyon. The canyon is also enduring a lot of heavy snowfall right now. Good for skiers, hard for that road and anybody traveling it, so keep that in mind. Ricky Meeson, the KSL Traffic Center.
Boy, right after the holidays, everyone needs a little cash, right?
Oh, yes.
We have great news for you. Right now, UCCU, Utah Community Credit Union, will pay you for your auto loan and credit balances. So all you have to do is just transfer your auto loan or your credit card balance to UCCU. And on top of giving you a low interest rate, which will save you money, UCCU will give you 1% cash back up to $250 on every loan you transfer.
Amanda, as soon as I heard about this, I said, I'm in this exact situation. I transferred. I actually had to have 2 loans to get my car a year ago.
Yeah.
Long story. Got it consolidated into one, and they paid me 1% back for each thing. I've got 1 payment now instead of 2. It's so much easier, and it took me maybe basically an hour. I just went straight to the website. I applied. They said, you got to send me these documents. I did. And all of a sudden, within a couple of days, I had it all set.
This is how easy they are to work with, always looking for ways to help you and your family. You can find out more on the UCCU mobile banking app or just go to uccu.com/transfer. Utah Community Credit Union. You're going to love where you bank.
Paid for by government.com. Have you heard? A recent stash of 1902 Morgan silver dollar coins has been found. These gorgeous 1902 silver dollar coins are as bright and shiny as the day they were struck, and less than 300 of these Morgan silver dollars are available. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone interested in silver coins. Just call government at 1-800-806-1641, and you are guaranteed a mint condition 1902 Morgan silver dollar featuring the iconic old mint mark of the New Orleans Mint. But with limited quantity, you must call Call now. These 1902 silver coins are still in uncirculated condition. That is 122 years of history you can hold in your hand. To learn more, call 1-800-806-1641. Call now and you'll receive a free American Coin Collector's Bonus Package, a $25 value free with every order. Call 1-800-806-1641 now to secure your 1902 Morgan silver dollars before they sell out. That's 1-800-806-1641.
Join the smartest conversation in Utah, the team of analysts and political advisors that make up Inside Sources. Get unfiltered analysis of the new administration, the president's cabinet, and Utah's upcoming legislative session. Inside Sources, weekdays from 1 to 3 on KSL News Radio.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm Adam Gardner here with Rusty Cannon. Democrats have been trying to reframe their messaging since the election. We talked a bit about that yesterday on Inside Sources, but part of this revamped messaging is turning their focus from President Trump to Elon Musk. In effect, he's become kind of their new boogeyman.
Oh, absolutely.
And we keep talking about how they are trying to reframe their message. Maybe that's the problem, is we're saying reframe when they should just be having new messaging altogether.
Yeah.
It's like your messaging just flat out did not work in most places in the country. And you handed Trump some very easy victories. You could have made it really difficult for him, and they didn't. And when they elected their new party leadership, they just kept the same messaging in place. And it's, I think, been a problem. I do kind of think that Trump in the first 100 days, any presidents like this, is kind of untouchable. Mm-hmm. You have kind of this mandate to do something, and boy, is Trump doing stuff right now.
Oh, yeah.
And so is this the right strategy? Elon Musk is a weird guy. He doesn't have a lot of close friends. Yeah. There's a quote in the last segment. I mentioned this book that I read, and I've said this quote a bunch because I feel like it kind of captures Elon Musk, where I think it was a friend that used to work with Elon that had to kind of quit and said, I can't work with you anymore if we're going to be friends still, because that both things can't happen. And he said Elon Musk really cares on a macro level for humanity and wants humanity to succeed. And that's, he feels like his life's mission. But on a micro level, he's really terrible for humans because he's just not a good guy. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, maybe that is kind of how I feel about him. He's done all these amazing things for humanity. But just on a personal level, he's kind of weird. His speeches have been really weird. He jumps all over the stage kind of
he is not
awkwardly.
A good public speaker.
And he's just awkward in these small circles. So, Rusty, is that kind of the right target? Is Elon Musk being the Democrats' new boogeyman? Is that the right approach?
I am happy to have the Democrats run down this road because I think it is absolutely
You don't think it's going to work?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
What's their alternative?
Elon Musk.
If you're the Democrats right now, and it's hard to message from the minority. You just got to say no to everything, and maybe that gets tiring. But so how do you get yourself back in the driver's seat?
Well, I would hope that they would go back to what they kind of ran on this last election cycle and look at all of it and say maybe we need to shift here and there. They seem to be just running down the exact same roads. And going after Elon Musk will never be on a ballot. And well, I mean, I guess he could, but he's never going to be on a ballot. Donald Trump will never be on a ballot again. Both of them are essentially lame duck at this point and have a lot of political momentum after the resounding victory in November for President Trump. Elon Musk could go by the wayside in a heartbeat. I think that is a possibility, I think, at some point. I think they're mistaken in going after him. He has over 200, and I'm not justifying everything that he says. As you mentioned, he sometimes gets a little bit different, but he has, I think, 216 million followers on Twitter, and our algorithms put it, as we were talking about, prepping for this, into our feed. I see everything that he tweets. His message gets out there faster than almost the speed of sound.
Faster than Trump's.
Yeah, exactly. He can front run the president, and I think that might come back to bite him. But I think they are going to absolutely, to answer your question, terrible strategy. I don't think it's going to work at all.
But you have to take over. you got to prep for the midterms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their goal right now is to probably take back the House. You only have to win 4 or 5. So that's their goal right now. So what do you do? What's your strategy? Do you just fight everything? Do you hope that the Republicans implode? Maybe the Elon Musk thing might not work because by June he could be so popular that Trump doesn't like that and kicks him to the curb. Like that could be a real thing. I think if I were to, I wouldn't attack him per se. I would keep calling him President Musk. If it were me, if I were the Democrats, President Musk and Donald, and something like that, just to get under Donald Trump's skin to make him react. But how do you take back the House if you kind of just sit there?
That's why I think this is the wrong strategy. I think a lot of the voters that Democrats could have gotten in this last election and just absolutely lost and went to the Trump side are the very people that follow Elon Musk on Twitter. Younger, typically just a different generation, that this is the world that they live in now. Your Joe Rogan podcast listeners, Elon Musk followers, those kinds of voters were a factor in this last election. They are not going to turn away. Elon Musk is very popular because he speaks plainly and he has the way he operates. I just don't think this is going to work. I think they're going down the same road they've gone down and lost the last election. They're not changing anything. I think them making the boogeyman is an enormous mistake.
Okay, so during a press conference about an hour ago, President Trump was asked about any restrictions there were on what Elon Musk could do.
Mr. President, I wonder what you make of the criticism from Democrats that these staff reductions, the cuts that Elon Musk and Doge are doing are an unlawful power grab. And is there anything you've told Elon Musk he cannot touch?
Well, we haven't discussed that much. I'll tell him to go here, go there. He does it. He's got a very capable group of people. Very, very capable. They know what they're doing. They'll ask questions, and they'll see immediately as somebody gets tongue-tied that they're either crooked or don't know what they're doing.
I love his answers.
They're just so funny to me.
Yeah. Another quote that came up, this is from our Senator Mike Lee. He's mentioned in the Deseret News. I wanted to give him credit. This was a great quote. He said, quote, President Trump is free to act upon the recommendations of any advisor he pleases, and I'm glad that he's working with the world's most successful tech entrepreneur who is volunteering his time and talent to save taxpayer dollars and cut government waste. Democrats complaining that we're cutting funds for transgender operas in Colombia or DEI programs in Serbia is a bad strategy to turn Americans against Doge.
Well, this goes back to what you were saying. Like, the stuff that he's trying to cut, most Americans, if you just say, here's what this program is, they're going to be okay with cutting it. You're not going to get a majority on every one of these programs. So he seems kind of safe.
Yeah, and I think what might trip up the Doge momentum and the Musk momentum, as you mentioned early in the segment, he's sort of that top-level benefit humanity. That's kind of what his overall vibe is. Maybe, and he's very involved in details, but maybe with the enormous speed of this project, some details get missed where somebody's going to trip up that's lower down in Doge, like we've had some news stories about some comments some of those folks have made, and I think they let one go. I think that might trip them up a little bit more than Elon Musk himself, to where he's focusing on that 30,000-foot view and getting all this done, and you have others within Doge that either say something dumb or do something dumb, and it trips them up. I think that might be a bigger problem.
No, that's a good point. You had Democrats in Congress went out in front of USAID to try and stop Elon Musk and his team, but they were already kind of inside and working in that department. And then they tried to get into the Department of Education because that's where they were heading next. And security stopped them at the door and wouldn't let those members of Congress in. And of course they would. Like, you don't just get a free reign. Republicans couldn't go into a Biden administration agency and just have free reign over the building. They're not going to allow that to happen. And so, but it's just, they're doing it for the controversy. It's great on TV. I just kind of question some of the people that they have doing it. I think it doesn't look great if it's Maxine Waters. Like, you need to be you have Elon Musk who, like you said, appeals to this younger crowd. And that's not what we're seeing on the Democratic side. It's Maxine Waters. It's the minority leader in this, Chuck Schumer, like your Nancy Pelosi's. These are not the people that younger Americans or new voters are being like, yeah, this is who I want to follow. I don't think it's going to work. There's so much more we can say on this Doge topic and Elon Musk being the next big boogeyman. And so, but we're going to talk kind of about this power grab focus a little bit in the next segment of Inside Sources. And it's a common complaint from folks that President Trump's so-called power grab goes against the principles generally held by the Republican Party. We're going to have a discussion on that next.
Good afternoon, 2:30 at KSL. I'm Jeff Kaplan. KSL's top story this hour. The January jobs report is out, and employers added 143,000 new jobs, but that's lower than economists had predicted. Zions Bank senior economist Robert Spenlove says this report reflects the jobs disrupted by the California fires.
Household services, leisure and hospitality, maid services, but those will come back. We may even see kind of an increase in construction jobs as we start to rebuild those areas.
Spenlove says we should start to see the impact of the Trump administration's recent moves in the monthly jobs report over the next few months. Our top national story from ABC News, the lawsuits are starting to pile up against the Trump administration.
One of Donald Trump's first moves after taking office was to halt federal funding to medical institutions that provide gender-affirming care to those younger than 19. Washington State Attorney General Nick Brown is challenging that executive order.
It very clearly targets transgender people. It is denying them health care that is not denied or attacked for anybody else.
Oregon and Minnesota have joined the lawsuit, as have 3 individual doctors on behalf of their patients. They're seeking an emergency order from the courts to restore that funding. Jeff Pogela, ABC News, Seattle.
Your money at this moment, the Dow, checking the numbers here, the Dow is down 443 points at the close a short time ago. Coming up, keep your eye out for a few snowflakes on the valley floor. Nothing serious. KSL weather is coming up. KSL News Time, 2:32.
Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. 2 locations, Sandy and Hurricane. Be advised, this is your opportunity to save up to 40 to 80% on a hot tub or swim spa. This weekend only, today through Sunday. Mountain America Expo Center. 18-month interest-free financing. Our factories have demanded we sell 1,000 hot tubs and swim spas this weekend. Washington County Legacy Park. Huge factory incentives, factory rebates, this weekend only. Mountain America Expo Center. We can remove your old hot tub. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Hot tub starting at $2,999. Washington County Legacy Park. Free delivery of your new hot tub. Just relax and enjoy. 2 locations, Sandy and Hurricane. Today, 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. Sunday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain America Expo Center, Washington County Legacy Park. Call 833-SPA-SALE or visit hottubandSwimSpaSale.com.
Between all the holiday parties,
weekend tailgates,
and family get-togethers,
we've been overindulging a little more than usual over the holidays. But now, we are starting the new year off on a healthier note by taking Active Liver supplements from New Nordic every day.
Active Liver contains a powerful blend of turmeric, milk thistle, and globe artichoke extract, all natural ingredients that help protect the liver so that it can protect you from toxins. It's like giving my body a daily detox. I've never felt better, and my energy is through the roof.
And my doctor is already impressed with how much better my numbers are looking. So if better health, more energy, and detoxing your body are some of your priorities this year, get Active Liver today and start the year off knowing you're giving your liver some well-deserved relief.
Active Liver is available in both tablets and as a delicious gummy. You can find Active Liver in stores at your local CVS or online at Amazon or NewNordicUSA.com.
Are you tired of the pain and discomfort caused by those bulky, ill-fitting dentures? Sick of feeling self-conscious when you eat with family and friends? It's time to take charge. Stubbs Dental Implant Center, Utah's best of state winner, is here to give you your freedom back. Say goodbye to dentures and say hello to the All-on-X dental implant procedure. The permanent, life-changing fix that lets you chow down on your favorite foods with without a care in the world and flash that confident smile once again. With cutting-edge technology, you can have a brand new permanent smile in as little as 24 hours. Yes, you heard right. Fast forward to finals and let your new smile steal the show. And here's the best part. Your consultation is absolutely free. At Stubbs Dental Implant Center, Utah's #1 dental implant center, they've helped thousands of patients love their smiles again. You could be next. It only takes 60 seconds to start your journey to a happier, healthier smile at StubbsDental.com. That's StubbsDental.com.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's limited time balance transfer bonus. Here's Ricky Meese.
A car that rolled and slid off the side of the roadway has forced the closure of eastbound SR 190 Big Cottonwood Canyon about 4 miles from the mouth of the canyon. With that closed, we do have traction laws in place for both canyons. We may need it for Parleys where snowfall in the higher elevation, slowing speeds both directions, mostly between Lambs Canyon and Kimball Junction. Also delays westbound on I-80 from about 7th East to the I-15 junction. Looking for the perfect suit for that special occasion? Mr. Mac has the best suit selection for any occasion. And get winter clearance pricing today. Visit their 9 convenient locations or MrMac.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The KSL weather forecast, maybe a little wet snow. The rain ends tonight with a low of 39 for the weekend. You get some sunshine, a high in the low 40s. It's 43 and raining. I'm Jeff Kaplan from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources. Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. I'm your co-host, Rusty Cannon, here with Adam Gardner. Adam, you've heard us talk about this before on the show, whether Donald Trump is a conservative or just a populist. We actually touched on that in an earlier segment. Either way, he is the face of the Republican Party, as we know, and some have criticized the beginning of his presidency as sort of a, quote, power grab and going against the traditional small government values of the GOP. The New York Times has a new article out today criticizing the president's executive orders and his presidential actions. So we wanted to talk about, are these criticisms warranted? And we wanted to discuss that. So let me ask you this, Adam. Trump, do you think, would you consider him a conservative or a populist?
I would consider him a populist, 100%.
Yeah,
I don't have any reservations about that. And I think some of his populism is conservative.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of it is not. I think there's a couple things that he's done lately. He went from pro-life during his first term.
Mm-hmm.
Second term, he thought, I want to get more moderates on this. I'm seeing Ohio pass a pro-abortion initiative. Like, he started following all of these issues and then completely changed his position.
Mm-hmm.
He became very pro-union and nominated, like a socialist, as his labor secretary nominee.
I forgot the name.
Every Republican, pretty much, in the House hated her bill, and now she's going to be the labor secretary. She may not pass. I don't know how it's gonna shake out.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he changes a lot. We mocked. I did it on this show.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Biden's pardoning horrible people. He pardoned a murderer. That we just found out after the pardon. It was a murder of a woman and her son.
Mm-hmm.
And then day one, we get Donald Trump pardoning all these January 6th protesters. A lot of them had committed violent crimes against police officers,
mm-hmm.
and were sentenced as such, and they were all pardoned. They were the same as somebody who walked through the Capitol, equally pardoned. And it doesn't seem like a Law and Order type of guy. Anyway, so it just becomes very populist, and I wonder about that for the rest of his presidency. But then some things are conservative that you and I have talked about, mm-hmm. that we love.
Yeah,
the slash and burn.
Yeah,
let's watch it.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. This gets back to what I said earlier. I cannot wait for the moment when President Trump and the House Freedom Caucus just collide on any number of issues, the debt ceiling, the spending, all of that. And maybe that's happening now in all these 4-hour and 2-hour meetings in D.C., where behind closed doors they're saying, you want us to do what? We are never going to vote for that. And having to come out publicly and either fold or tank what can be President Trump's big, beautiful one bill based on principles that they hold. I've talked to specific members, and you probably have too, of Congress where this is going to be an issue. It's like, no, I'm not rolling over on that. Well, hold on a second. You do realize that's going to be in the big, beautiful bill, right?
Yeah.
And wonder what happens. And so I think that's another example of this debate. And he has definitely changed the Republican Party for now. You talked about that, where so much populism is coming on. I know in a previous show we talked about Senator Hawley Josh Hawley having a bill that was pro-union.
Pro-union.
I never thought I'd utter those words.
It's
right?
crazy.
It's
he
nuts.
has another one that is to limit credit card interest rates.
Yeah,
and he's sponsoring that with liberal Democrats, and because Trump has endorsed it. And
dumb idea.
It's crazy, and all that's going to do. Every Republican will say, well, all you're going to do is when you go to try and get a credit card, you won't be able to qualify.
Well, and so I need to explain my comment there just a minute ago, saying it's a dumb idea. I don't mean to sound mean or callous, but that's how the world works. The interest rate on your credit card is due to the risk that you are, meaning and then if you have bad credit and something that were in place, you are not going to get a credit card. Like all you're going to do is cut off the very people that you're trying to help. It just seems quite backward. But that's more in the weeds, but against that populist idea. But that's what's coming forward as the president or Josh Hawley or others propose those. It's just counterintuitive to so much of what the Republican Party has been about before. And it's going to be fascinating to watch this unfold. I just can't wait to see the books written years from now of about all these people either folding or not folding on these principles when Donald Trump comes calling. I think it's going to be an issue.
Another issue is in the past, Republicans have been very pro FBI, law enforcement, CIA, NSA, but very pro those organizations. I remember when Nancy Pelosi said on the House floor in 2009, I was an intern at the time, and she had mentioned that she didn't trust the CIA to tell her the truth. Republicans went ballistic. I think they censured her on the House floor. It was such a big deal.
So what year was this? This
was 2009.
Okay, yeah.
And so it was a huge deal. And now
it's the opposite.
It's the opposite. The Republicans hate our national security agencies and the CIA, and they don't trust the FBI. Donald Trump ran his campaign, partially against the FBI. And so I want to play today, during a press conference with Japanese Prime Minister, President Trump spoke about firing FBI agents who were involved in the January 6th investigations.
FBI has turned over a list to the Justice Department of the FBI agents who worked on the January 6 rioters cases. Are you planning to fire the FBI agents who worked on those investigations?
No, but I'll fire some of them because some of them were corrupt. I have no doubt about that. I got to know a lot about that business, that world. I got to know a lot about that world, that we had some corrupt agents, and those people are gone, or they will be gone, and it'll be done quickly and very surgically.
How things changed quickly. 2009 to 2025, different party saying essentially the same thing. It's crazy. The other thing that I think is going to be interesting to watch is how things unfold. The word is slipping my mind. Federalism. Thank you. I was reading that of local control versus national.
He's not a federalism guy.
No, not at all. And that's what the New York Times article is talking about for the most part today, about he or the party or federal government getting into local business, whether it's New York City traffic, the water in California, sports. That was a big deal. Was that yesterday or the day before we signed the bill on men and women's sports? All of that. Reaching down into the local or more local level, this is an area where typically the Republican Party would say, no, that is the state's business, federalism, and now that's been flipped to where so much of the momentum now is directed right into those local areas. And what do you think? Do you think that's going to stick, or do you think this is more of a Trump phenomenon?
So he's not going to try and spin it this way, but as a Republican, I would spin it this way, where these rules were created where we kind of get bribed with our own money. So Utah taxpayers will send money to Washington, D.C., and then Washington, D.C. will say, you can have some of it back. We're going to attach all of these strings. It cuts both ways during a Democratic administration and a Republican. So he signed one executive order cutting off federal aid to elementary and high schools that allowed transgender athletes to play in women's sports. So they're going to change their rules so they can get this federal funding. Democrats are crying foul, but it works both ways.
Yeah.
And so when the federal government in the last administration says, we'll only give you federal aid if you allow transgenders to play in your sports, it's this tic-tac thing that's being played, and it's very frustrating. So look, you guys created the rules. We're going to use them to our advantage.
Yeah, turnabout is fair play. All right, in our final segment on today's Inside Sources, we're going to have some fun. Shakespeare said it best. What's in a name? A new bill on Capitol Hill addresses what we, the people of Utah, call certain things. This is going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Discover the thrill of winter adventure with Bear Lake Ski-Shoring the Bear. Join us for an unforgettable experience on February 21st and 22nd. Whether you're a participant or a spectator, there's excitement for everyone. Spectators get in free, so bring your friends and family to cheer on the competitors. The action kicks off with the first round of races Friday, leading up to the exhilarating final round on Saturday. The top 10 competitors will return to battle it out for the ultimate glory. With no pre-registration needed, simply show up and sign a waiver to join the fun. Compete for a chance to win buckles, cash, and prizes in various divisions. Feel the rush, embrace the challenge, and be part of this unique winter spectacle. Don't miss out on this exciting event. Sign up for Ski-Shoring and experience the thrill of racing through the snow. For more information, visit bearlake.org. See you at Ski-Shoring the Bear.
Seems everything costs more these days. Gas, groceries, and when's the last time you checked your wireless bill? Yikes. When it comes to big wireless, if you're staying, you may be overpaying. Here's how to get the same fast, reliable nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Plans start at just $20 a month, and that's not a short-term promo. Our US-based experts will get you switched and saving in about 20 minutes. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com and start saving today. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing.
Febreze. It's a classic odor tale. You fried fish for dinner, cleaned up, but the smell is still in the house. And the neighbors are coming over for game night. They're on their way. And then you spray Febreze Air Mist. Febreze Air starts working instantly to fight even your toughest odors, so you go from fish to fresh like that. Now all you have to worry about is Pam cheating at charades.
Breathe happy, Febreze, la 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 la.
Attention home buyers, want to save hundreds on your mortgage payment or buy a bigger, nicer home? Visit SaveRight.com. This is Rod with the SaveRight team at Realty Path. SaveRight, our name says it all. SaveRight real estate clients often save $300 to $600 a month on their mortgage. Life of loan savings can be over $300,000. SaveRight clients qualify for and buy bigger, nicer homes. Interest rates are around 7%. SaveRight clients can get fixed rates in the 5s. Our affiliate lender makes it all possible. You can even start with a rate in the 2s. If you're buying or selling a home in Utah, save a ton of money. Hire the SaveRight team of realtors. Visit SaveRight.com for more information.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go: shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms: irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit NoTimeToWait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online. I read that black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Jeff Kaplan.
When you're online, that's sometimes a source of fourth-hand information. Somebody does the reporting. Another website Googles, they find it, they rewrite it, and by the time you read it, you know the old game telephone. But KSL is the source of primary information. We have reporters on the street. They're out in the field finding out the details. And the difference between online and KSL News Radio, night and day.
Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News, 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Most of us like to be out in the sun. That's why sunscreen and other safety measures are key to protecting your skin from aging and cancer. The FDA recommends using a sunscreen with an SPF of 15 or higher. Also, look for broad spectrum on the label. That means both harmful ultraviolet A and B rays are blocked. Remember, SPF plus broad spectrum equal healthy fun in the sun. Visit www.fda.gov/sunscreen for more information. A message from the U.S. Food and Drug Administration.
Inside Sources on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. Okay, I got to ask you some questions, Rusty. Do you know what the state cooking pot is?
Well, I cheated because we got prepared for this.
How
Dutch,
dare you?
Yeah, I'm sorry. The Dutch oven. I didn't even know we had a cooking pot officially until an hour ago.
What is the state crustacean?
I totally forgot. Oh, wait. Brine shrimp.
Okay, brine shrimp. Okay,
yes.
good. Oh, and we have a state vegetable, but we actually technically have two. One is the Spanish sweet onion, and the historic one, which is the one you read about in this gripping tale of the sugar beet. And anyway.
Well, importantly, though, we have the Utah State Centennial Astronomical Symbol. And in case you're wondering, it is the Beehive Cluster located in the constellation of the Cancer of the Crab.
That's amazing. So, look, our state insect is the honeybee. A lot of these things make sense.
Yeah.
But State Senator Dan McKay is proposing that we finally make Utahn, spelled UTAHN, official. It's going to be in law.
But
forever.
give the English definition. It is the demonym.
The demonym.
The demonym, if I'm saying the demonym of Utah.
Senator McKay, thanks so much for being on the show with us.
Thanks for having me, guys. Good to talk to you.
Okay, so first of all, how do you pronounce it? Is it demonym?
Demonym, yep, you got it right.
So we just learned that word for the first time.
An hour ago.
Okay, I got to ask you, Senator McKay, what prompted this? Why run this bill?
Okay, that's a great question. You all know, so for those who don't know, a demonym is the noun that is used to define someone who is native to a place. Okay, so if you're from there or like it's your place, so a Utahn, right, is like somebody that's from Utah. That's our thing. And it was really funny. We were looking at this over the summer, and I was talking to some academics, and they were just telling me the difficulty they have in citations because the Chicago style, the APA, and the various, citations for academic works require that Utahn be spelled UTAHAN. And everybody who's anybody from Utah, they know Utahn is spelled without the A. And so the funny thing is, I actually had somebody talk to me yesterday. They said, well, if it becomes well known, then we won't know who the people are from outside Utah. And I thought that was pretty funny.
There's a lot of accuracy to that. It's like when you hear Deseret or desert and people don't know how to pronounce it, you're like, you're one of those. You can't say Tooele or Duchesne. So I know you're one of the bad guys. Okay, so tell us about this process. I know a lot of times you hear this. I ran a bill years ago to change out our statue in the Capitol, in the U.S. Capitol. You ran a bill on the flag, and both of those bills, the flag one took a lot more time But it was kind of hotly debated on both of these things. What do you say to your constituents or any others? Because you see this on Facebook and Twitter all the time of the legislature, they waste time on these bills. We could be doing so many other things. What do you say to those people?
Well, look, we're going to deal with 500 different policy items that will eventually pass during this legislative session, maybe slightly less than 500 if we can. But, you know, in that process, I always get to the end of the session and say, well, tell me one bill you wish didn't pass, right? And what that means is we get all the big stuff in, and while we're doing the big stuff, it's okay if we do some of the small things also. And this is one of the things I would put in a classification of one of the small things. But it's also important. It's who we are. It's how we define who we are. And I think we should be in charge of that instead of the Chicago rules of style.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear you say that. I had no idea there was practical application or need for this with the citations that you mentioned. And Utah Hun makes no sense at all. And just with getting rid of the A, well, none of us put the A in there. So that's interesting. I didn't know that, just like I didn't know until an hour ago that the Dutch oven was our pot. So, but I'm learning by the minute.
Our state cooking pot. We don't have state
cooking pot. Sorry, that's right. But we all know the beehive. But there's some stuff in here that we just didn't know. So, so this would have some practical effects then on how things are cited going forward once it passes.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And so outside citations, and the one thing that actually brought it home is on Monday, the New York Times, they did their crossword puzzle. And the clue was a typical Deseret News reader. And the answer was Utah. But guess what? It had the A. And it just goes to show you there are all kinds of things where it's just time that, you know, we let everybody know the right way to spell Utah.
I saw that tweet of yours. It infuriated me, just like most of your tweets. And so I got to ask, you did a little Twitter poll associated with that tweet, I believe. What was the result of that?
Yeah, we got almost 900, votes.
Gosh.
And it's consistent that, it was about a 93 to 7 percent. So 93% to 7% was the victory for UTAHN. No way. So there you go. It's very consistent actually with public polling, that when people are spelling it, when Utahns are spelling it, they don't spell it without the A either.
Okay, this is probably the most important part of this bill is I am very frustrated with Siri and talk to text because when I get corrected by Google or Apple, it will spell it incorrectly. So does this change like our technology? Do they base their spelling off of the APA? Do they base it off of Chicago style? Now I'm thinking of pizza by saying Chicago style over and over. So do they take the cue kind of from the AP?
Well, and they do, because those are published sources, right? And they have official, they have weight to them, and AI assigns weight to those, right?
Oh,
but I'm
with
hopeful
AI,
that
that's awesome.
Yeah, I'm hoping that replacing it, we will replace that reference also in AI, because the Utah law will be the final answer.
Senator makes a good point. There are so many bills going through so quickly. They can walk and chew gum at the same time. I don't think there's anything. This is not holding up anything else. He makes a great point, and this comes up every session. I don't know if it was just a session or two ago, but I was looking at the list. The state mushroom was the porcini. I think that was the one that was on a couple. No, or maybe it was an insect. I can't remember. But this comes up about every session, right, Senator, of some sort of Utah thing, right?
Yeah, and some of them are hotly debated. For example. When for a long time we had the Colorado spruce as our state tree, and we wanted to change that, and there were some real fans of the Colorado spruce, but I'm not sure that Colorado in the name of something, should change anything. And we had the same problem with the, for a while it was the California seagull was our state bird. Well, Not sure California was the right bird, but, we removed the California. Some of these things, feel trivial, that kind of thing, but they really are kind of the DNA of who we are. And I feel like any opportunity we have to make it clear who we are, I feel like we're much better off.
State Senator Dan McKay, thank you so much for being with us. I'm actually excited for this bill to pass. I think it's about dang time. The biggest issue that the legislature is going to tackle is our state demonym. Senator McKay, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And listeners, thank you for listening to Inside Sources. Join the two of us again. You got to listen to us again on Monday.
Yeah, we'll be back
from 1 to 3 as we broadcast live from the state capitol. It's a huge treat for us to be up at the Capitol broadcasting. It's so much easier to grab representatives and state senators and bring them in to where we are. Next up, Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News. Listeners, have a great weekend.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon. It's 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan.